Bill.
Okay. Because I've got the
Good Monday morning, everyone. Oh my gosh, I hope you all had fantastic Super Bowl parties this weekend. I can't wait to dive into mine, but you guys listening to Author Talk with me, Amy, Russell, Valerie, and our lovely author guest this morning is Craig. So you guys, weekends, let's talk about them. So, okay, I didn't get to watch the Super Bowl because we went home this weekend. My father-in-law's 60th birthday is actually this Friday, but he won't be in town. So Joshua and his siblings planned a surprise party for their dad. So we went and drove down Saturday night and did his party on Sunday and then drove back. So I was actually driving back during the Super Bowl. So I didn't get to watch it, but I heard all about the Seahawks winning. So congratulations on that win. But you guys, this week is such a great week. One, Valentine's is this weekend. So my daughters will be having Valentine's parties at school and everything. But I got to watch my oldest, Meadow. She gets to do the morning announcements this week, and she's doing the Pledge of Allegiance at her school, and her school does them live on YouTube so the parents can watch. So I got to watch her do it because she was super nervous about it. So I got to watch her do it this morning with her friends, and it was the sweetest thing. So Craig, I have a 5 and a 6-year-old, so I have a kindergarten and a first grader.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm doing all these, first and being excited. And then I didn't know that my youngest was also mentioned in the announcement. So at school, any of you guys that have, elementary age kids or have recently and you've gone through this, they do like an online education part. Their kids call it just their ST math. It's their penguin friend. And so they want to complete their year and move on to bonus levels or the next one and all that. So my youngest has completed it. She's already moved on to doing first grade stuff. And I do have to brag on my youngest for just a minute. So my oldest did the announcements and she's, thriving and loving it and doing everything. But my youngest, they do these like map tests at school because they're too young to do the STAR test here. And so my youngest did it right before Christmas break. And I think she was just really excited to like be done for Christmas break, you guys. But I got her scores back and she outshined on math. And like she did better if she was in like 95%.
Oh,
yes. And then on her reading, she was in like the 84%. She's 5, you guys. So it was exciting to see them because she's on the same level as her sister in first grade. So they're doing stuff together. So it's cute to just see them kind of both shine and encourage each other. So it's just, I was a proud mom weekend, I guess, which Russell's super excited about, I am sure.
There you go.
But it was super fun. And Russell's going to love this before I kick it and open it to all of your guys' weekend. Russell, I actually have gotten back into cold plunging, and guess who isn't cold plunging with me? Josh is actually not doing that. So
Did you see that scientific study I sent you about
I did.
cold plunging does?
I did. So when
How
we
was
moved
it?
here, well, it's really not that bad. So I used to do cold plunging. So Craig, my husband built a cold plunge and we did it for a year and a half. And then we moved into this house. And when we moved, that first year was very uncertain. So we moved and then my husband ended up switching jobs and we were going to move somewhere else. Then we ended up not moving. And so that first year was very stressful and just didn't know what was going to happen. So I actually fell out of it. But for the past like a little over a week and a half, I've gotten back into it and my husband hasn't gotten back into it. So it's been fun because now I just go and, I don't always have nice things to tell him because I'm like, well, if I can take 5 minutes out of my day and go sit in 46-degree water, you can too. So now, Russell, I like to say I'm more disciplined than him currently at the moment. So it's just been a fun ride.
Josh is rock solid.
I mean, that's true. He is doing a fast. He's doing a 5-day fast, which I refuse to do because I love food. So I could not give food up to save my life. So he is doing that. So I will take it. But What all did you guys do this weekend? Valerie's currently frozen. Russell, it's a pretty good freeze this time, though.
I
It's
know.
pretty
Well,
good.
I've seen worse. It's
It's
not that
pretty good.
great. Okay. I've joked in the past that when I moved back to
Right.
Houston 2 months ago, I actually moved into this weird out of the 50s neighborhood where the
Mhm.
kids are still all in the street and playing and stuff. It's so weird. Uh, Craig, I got to tell you, it's so wonderful to live on a block that you're surrounded by millions of kids, tens of kids playing
Yeah,
everywhere, and they use my front yard as a battleground for Nerf wars. So
Nice.
there's always Nerf bullets out there, and I make sure they don't get mowed so they can find them later for the next
yeah.
war. So the funny thing is, my wife found this in our mailbox yesterday. Was drawn up kid flag. They drew up a bunch of these and put these in all the mailboxes on the block. Kid flag football game. You are. We have. I don't even know what it says. We have our team. We have our team. And you see a little envelope thing, and
I
then you
love
open
it.
it up, and it says you are invited to watch at 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. Thank you. They're so excited about the Super Bowl. They had their own game.
Oh, I love it.
And the funny thing is,
That's
because I
so
can
cool.
watch from my dining room window sometimes when they play, because they play every day.
Yeah,
Everyone's out there every day because it's like out of the 50s that way
yeah,
in a beautiful way.
yeah.
But it's always the big boys playing against the little boys, and they just kill them every day. It's the same thing. And all I said yesterday was, those little boys, when they start playing tackle football in like the third and fourth grade, they're going to be animals because they will have had the tar beaten out of them by their big brothers for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Anyway, so I mean, I had a lot of stuff going the weekend, but that was the funniest thing
yeah.
that
Your neighborhood
happened
sounds
this.
like a
That's
blessing.
very cool.
It's a wonderful blessing.
It
Yeah.
I
is.
love it.
I love it. Craig, what did you do this weekend?
Oh, we're getting ready for our trip to Seattle, and we had record heat this weekend in Kansas. So I got out and played some tennis, and I reintroduce myself each morning to the violin, and make coffee for my wife,
Nice.
and long walks. I'm trying to run again. It's more like a shuffle at my age, but
So you're a violinist and a runner. So this is a beautiful combination. What did you play on your violin this weekend? Were you moved to play this weekend when you played in the morning?
I have a recurring mountain that I mess with. There are some sonatas that Bach wrote about 250 years ago for unaccompanied violin, and they are murderously hard. I don't think I'd ever have the courage to play them in public, but I work a little bit on them each day to try to get better by working less hard at it, if that makes any sense.
And what were the length of your runs this weekend, Craig?
Oh, I try to go about 2 or 3 miles a day.
Wow.
I was a serious runner when I was younger, but
Have you
my
run marathons?
I did one marathon.
I've run
Mother's
10.
Wow. Mother's Day 2003, Lincoln,
Yes.
Nebraska, in the rain.
Oh, that's not
Oh, wow.
was it?
Oh,
I've actually been to Lincoln, Nebraska. It's a little hilly there, isn't it? It's not stereotypical,
That's a really
which
good
means that
question.
it's kind of nightmarish for a marathon.
The course was really flat until mile 22.
Right? And
And
you
then mile
remember that.
22 was a very long, very gradual hill. And I finished still upright, but it was a trial. Let's put it that way.
I bet. That sounds it. I'm not a runner and I couldn't run a marathon. So I'm just, hey, you did it.
Hey,
no way. No way. Yeah,
No.
that's
I could-
amazing.
one
Yeah.
was enough, though. One was enough.
Yeah. I get it.
I-
Mentally. it's
Even
not.
though I've run more, Craig, I actually agree with you. I think one is enough.
Yeah. Yeah, we really enjoy visiting our older son in Brooklyn in the autumns because his street is on the New York City Marathon.
Oh yeah,
And you get to see the guys and the wheelchair people and everybody fly by. I mean, it's just a great experience.
It really is.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
We
Valerie,
should
what?
let Valerie tell us about her weekend
Yeah,
before she
did
freezes
you do
again.
did you do your cooking class?
Yes, I did. And then this weekend, I spent Saturday trying to bake them at home, and they came out. And I apologize, my Wi-Fi keeps freezing here, and so I'm tempted to just like sign out, sign back in. But if you guys can hear me, that's a plus. That's a plus. But yeah, the cookies came out great. It took me longer than I thought, and I was like, well, at least I uh, invested the money and the ingredients and all the time, and so at least they came out good, which was a plus. And they're pretty much gone. There's 2 left after 20. Not just by me. I took some to my mom. My husband ate them. My daughter was in town. So, but we put the dent in it for sure. And then Friday we babysat the new grandson by ourselves
Well,
for the
that was a
first time,
poor
and
life decision.
it was like so deja vu. It's like you don't forget, like, okay, let's keep this baby happy. We're gonna keep him fed. We're gonna make him go to sleep, and then it just you just keep rolling, keep rolling. So slow. And then I went to a Super Bowl party, and the main reason I went, of course, was to eat,
Right?
because I didn't really care about those teams. I didn't really
get
care
it.
about those teams. So, but but I do, I'm such a football person that I kind of mourn like the end of football season, like, oh no, it's over. And so I'll kind of like, I'll watch a little bit just because it's like, it's the end. But then you know what? We have college basketball. So not going
That's
to cry
true.
about that.
You
Yeah.
do. Yeah. UH is usually pretty good in the college basketball arena.
They,
Yeah.
So
They play
I
basketball in
yes.
Kansas too.
yeah, see, I think
yeah.
I'm excited about basketball season. Who
Yeah.
would have thought I would be into it, but I'm excited about it. It's going to be
Yeah.
good.
Okay, we need to thank our listeners. We're top 10% on some podcast channels, top 1% on Good Pods on book podcast. And we want to thank our listeners for listening to us. We're very humbled about it. We started 10 years ago this year, and we've come a long way, and we've had a lot of fun.
That's
Amy,
cool.
where can people find us?
We've had a lot of fun. Did you guys hear Russell say that? That's one of the few times I've ever heard Russell say that we've all had a lot of fun. But
We
you guys,
have.
I know, I've loved these 10 years, you guys. I have absolutely loved it. So it's a compliment because Russell doesn't say these things very often. But you can listen anywhere that you can find a podcast. My go-to is Amazon Music or Spotify. I'm an Android user, so Google Play. You can go to iTunes. You can even watch us if you want to watch and have a good time with us when Valerie freezes, or I'm super animated and talk a lot with my hands. So you can come on over and have fun with us, engage with us. You can watch us live over there or in our Facebook group or on any one of our social media channels. You can ask questions and engage with us. We always love engaging with our community and having so much fun and making sure that things get answered with you guys. But yeah, it is our 10-year of Author Talk. It's also going to be my 10-year wedding anniversary in June. So 2026 is a huge year, you guys. Huge, huge year. But with huge years and accomplishments and milestones, Valerie, let's get Craig talking about his memoir and him being a gifted violinist and a neurosurgeon. And let's just find out all the goodness that Craig has to offer. So take it away, Valerie.
Absolutely. Yes. Craig, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into your book so people can get to know you?
Yeah. I'm an old man by now. Was born in a gritty neighborhood in Boston and made a steep climb, shameless promotion. The book is called Steep. A steep climb to collect a lot of credentials of various kinds, and went to medical school in Boston, and then became a neurosurgeon in San Francisco, and then made a big career change. I was programmed really to become an academician. A lot of assistant professor jobs were on offer. And instead, my new wife, Mary, and I decided to join a practice in Topeka, Kansas, which was of course, in Middle America, and a major change for me.
Oh, yes.
And it turned out to be a great decision. And I left the OR when I was 55 and kind of had been steeping ever since. The word steep, of course, is an adjective for steep climb, but it's also a verb, meaning what you do with tea or broth. And so a few years ago, I began steeping my past, steeping myself, and thought about writing a book. And here we are.
How does your violinist, fall into place with your your work as a doctor?
Well, steep is about race in a way. And my parents insisted that I start playing the violin when I was 6. I did not like it, and that was irrelevant. And they insisted that I work very hard at it. And I kind of peaked young. When I was 16, I was a soloist with the Boston Pops. And then I went to college and put the violin in its case for 35 years. And the violin really had been eating my life. It was one of a number of tools that my parents were using to make me more white, more acceptable to the larger society. But as I thought about it, and as I reintroduced myself to the fiddle a number of years ago, my relationship changed. It became more a gift of parental love. It became a talisman. It became an heirloom, and it became a friend that I get with each morning for 45 minutes or an hour. So that's the violin. I mean, the neurosurgery is a whole different animal. But again, it was upward mobility. It was being Top Gun. It was being, bulletproof. It was being beyond contempt, because of the color of your skin. And, I don't know if you know any neurosurgeons. I hope you never have to see one professionally, but a lot of us have sought out the field as a way to prove something about themselves. And I was certainly in that group for sure. But I've loved and still do love the nervous system. It's a standard of elegance that is really hard to top. And I decided to be a neurosurgeon not knowing one thing about what neurosurgeons actually did all day. But it was a good decision in retrospect. I mean, it was, what shall I say? I mean, it gave you a perspective on the best and the worst days people have. It gave a young man an education on how to live and how to die. And not a lot of jobs give you that perspective.
Exactly. I know you were talking about, how you grew up with the violin. However, it dawned on me, and I please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the tenacity you had pursuing that, to be the best of the best, and you were incredibly talented, and I'm sure you still are. But did you feel like that gave you the strength to persevere your career as a neurosurgeon?
Yeah, that helped for sure. But really, what the formative moment came in 7th grade, believe it or not. I became an adult when I was in the 7th grade. My parents got me into a public school in Boston that was the most competitive year of my life, 7th grade. And at that school, I learned how to read, how to write, how to organize, and most of all, how to persist. I mean, for the record, it's called the Boston Latin School. And it's the oldest public school in the United States. It was founded in 1635. And the joke is that Harvard College was founded a year later to give the graduates of the Latin school somewhere to go. So it has been for a couple hundred years a reliable engine working against inequality. It's an incredibly meritocratic place for the kids of immigrants, for working class kids who want a way up. So that was really, well, the violin was part of it all, but I mean, the real discipline came from that school. It was just insane.
And then I guess your decision to become a neurosurgeon, was it what you thought it was going to be, or was it more than you expected?
Well, it was about 90 hours a week of concentrated attention here and there. Yeah, community neurosurgery is a little bit different from academic neurosurgery, and different now than it was back in the 1980s or 1990s. Now there are intensivists, there are physician assistants, there are all sorts of extenders that weren't in place in Topeka, Kansas in the 80s and 90s. So it was hard work. One thing you probably don't learn on the pit is that neurosurgery is probably 80% manual labor. So there's a lot of labor that goes into it. But no, I learned how to do it. I was very gratified by the community support we got. And I had some astonishing experiences that are recorded in STEEP. We go to the operating room several times. People are saved and people die in that operating room. It's a dramatic little slice of human experience.
Exactly. I love that. And why did you feel compelled to do a memoir in the first place?
That's a good question. It started as a letter to our sons to give them a sense of who their dad was. Anybody who's been to a family reunion or a Thanksgiving dinner knows that there are subjects that are kind of taboo, things that just don't come up at those events. And I wanted to share those. And as I was thinking about that, I had one of those stop in your tracks NPR driveway moments in Washington, D.C. There's a museum there that has a really long name. I just call it the Black Smithsonian, the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Anyway, there's a long line to get in, and I'm standing there and I'm looking at this quote. It's etched over the entrance, and it was like it was addressed personally to me. It was a quote by James Baldwin, and it said, let me see if I remember, "The great power of history is that it lives inside us and controls us unconsciously." And I thought, holy cow, this guy is talking to me. And then later on, I thought, he's not just talking to me, he's talking to the vast majority of folks. And so there was that. And then I just started to write a little more and a little more. And here we are, with a little memoir. I mean, it was first a gift to our sons, and it became a success, once they laid their hands on it. And then I thought it would be a gift to my neighbors here in Topeka and eastern Kansas. And it's been very well received here. So I thought maybe a PR company would be worth the splurge. So that's how you find me here today.
That's awesome. Now, how long did your writing process take? Was it over a period of years or months, or how did it go?
It took about 3 years or so. I wrote longhand, and
Yes.
I've never written a book, but I wrote with my ears. Everything in here is spoken aloud by me multiple times. I was kind of getting warmed up after about 20 drafts or so. And although I'm not a poet, I really respect the economy that they have, you know, how every word is doing useful work. And I kind of aspired to that. And I certainly agree with Mark Twain, you know, when he said that the right word is lightning and the almost right word is a lightning bug. And, you know, so I tried to have a little bit of lightning in these pages. I was ruthless. I mean, it's scenes from 77 years of life, and it's only 150 pages or so. So I was very clear on all the stuff that got left out. I mean, I left out a lot. But I think that modern readers are not ready for War and Peace or the Brothers Karamazov. So I think 150 pages is about what folks can deal with. And it's also about what I could write. I mean, it was hard work to get this done, honestly.
Question?
Yes, just before you freeze. Okay, Craig, I have a question about because there's a thing about memoirs. They're not good unless you show the blood, but if you really, but most of us don't want to show the blood because it reveals too much about us and too much to the family, etc.
Yeah.
How'd you deal with the fact of what you needed to reveal to write what needed to be written, and what was the reaction to whatever it was?
Well,
and thank you for that sigh. That sigh answers more than whatever you say afterwards, so thank you, that was beautiful.
Yeah, our boys had veto power over the text, and one thing I regret is that I didn't get to boast about them more. They said, Dad, this is your story, it's not ours. You know, so that's missing. There's some blood there, but it's restrained. A lot of the blood is in the operating room, believe it or not. Everything in there is either the steep climb of upward mobility or the steeping of a self in middle age. And when you start to steep yourself, you know, here's an example. Neurosurgeons are experts. And what happens as you age is that you come to know more and more about less and less. And that gave me the impetus to walk away from the operating room when I was 54, 55. I was at the peak of my skills, my income, all that. But I was not being surprised. I was not open to the wide world. And the last third or last half of Steep is about vignettes of surprise, of almost spiritual surprise that happened to an aging expert. I hope that helps.
Why did you write in pen and not type it out?
I'm not a very good keyboarder. And I think
so it's that simple. It's nothing more visceral or deeper.
It is visceral too. I think there's more contact when you write, on a piece of paper. But I'm not a very good keyboarder, and I'm still not friends with Google Docs particularly. But you do.
Why, when you mentioned books, did you mention the two Russian books? Are you a Russian literature fan? And what are you reading right now?
What I'm reading. Oh, I'm reading Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, An Unfinished Love Story, about her husband. See,
Please tell the audience who Doris Kearns is. Right.
Doris Kearns Goodwin was my TA in freshman American history at Harvard
Wow.
College. And she went on to be speechwriter for Lyndon Johnson, professor of history, writer of many books. She was accused of plagiarism and so forth. But I mean, she is a brilliant writer.
And she's interviewed on the networks all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time, all the
Oh, yeah.
time. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where people like
Yeah.
like me have become familiar with her.
Yeah, she's a brilliant historian. But her husband, Richard Godwin, amazing guy. I mean, he could produce a speech for Jack Kennedy or Lyndon Johnson at the drop of a hat. I'm only halfway through the book, and we're just getting to how Goodwin is dealing with the entry into Vietnam. But that's what I'm reading right now, an unfinished love story.
Mm-hmm.
I chose the Russians because they're such gigantic books, and because, I mean, you need some help to know who's who. I mean, and
That's because the authors used all three Russians, especially at that time, went by three different names.
yeah.
And the authors used all three names of the characters interchangeably throughout the entire book.
I mean, I could have gone with the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's, basically long books are out of fashion.
That's true, and they're even getting shorter in fashion. Uh, Using the example of the phone romance novelettes that are selling out in Japan now and kind of taking over the rest of the community.
Well, Steep is only 150 pages, 53,000 words. So give it a shot. First 20 pages are dramatic, shall we say.
Go ahead, Valerie, take it back.
I was going to say maybe it's better in small doses to have dramatic scenes like that so you can really absorb them and I guess relate to your experience as well.
Yeah, amen. Yeah. It is. I hope that it's relatable. I mean, part of the genesis story of this is I was in a great big bookstore staring at the Black Studies shelf, and I'm seeing these brilliant books. I mean, the scholarship and the writing, and I mean, they are describing a really horrific past and doing a brilliant job. But then I thought, wait a minute, there's not much remedy here. There's all this diagnosis, but there's not much remedy. And these gigantic historical forces and big people striding across the landscape, there didn't seem to be any room for one blue-collar kid from Boston who lives in Topeka, Kansas. So I thought, well, people are always trying to adapt to the circumstances they face. And I thought, well, I'm going to write about how I adapted and maybe extend that Black Studies shelf half an inch to make room for really a different kind of story, a story that's about price and it's about value. The price of success and the value of memory, the value of remembering what's hard.
Yes. And that's what
the-
builds the experience for the reader too. It's like, we can connect with you.
I've been surprised, really surprised. 6 months ago or so, we launched at the Topeka Public Library. Topeka is the capital of Kansas, 150,000 people. The library was packed. They had a room for 150 people, 300 showed up. They were talking about getting the fire marshal and all that. So that was a gigantic surprise to me. And, a lot of the early readers, the first 1,000 readers or so, are white folks. And they very much relate to someone who kind of was boxed in by the politics of his identity, somebody who was the face at the edge of the banquet, There's a lot of folks like that out there, and they're not all Black, trust me.
And can you talk about a little bit about your book cover, please?
Yeah.
I thought he told you not to ask.
I'm so excited though, because I'm so glad that you asked that, Valerie, because that's why I unmuted myself. So I have two monitors. My mouse like wasn't going over here, so that's why you saw my hand like to touch the button, because he said that he has like a whole explanation, and I was tempted. I wanted that to be my first question.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna start with the state motto of Kansas, which is Latin for "to the stars through difficulties." And for a long time, I didn't know why I wanted this as the cover, but now I think I do. It's a pen and ink drawing done in about 1895 by a guy who was a juvenile delinquent, just incorrigible kid from south of Madrid. He became an anatomist, and these pen and ink drawings, this one is the most famous, but others like it, and this one revolutionized medicine. His name was Ramon y Cajal, and he is the only anatomist ever to win a Nobel Prize in medicine. What this is a drawing of a brain cell, a human brain cell. It's a symbol of unity because each one of us has about 15 million of them packed at the bottom of our brain. It's a symbol of imagination and creativity because when he drew this, he was kind of a nobody in science. And in 1902, he went to the mountaintop. He went to the Royal Society in London. And he says, you guys have the wrong idea about the brain. It's not a network. It's uncountable numbers of individual cells. Our microscopes aren't strong enough to show that, but I believe it's true. And they also don't show how they communicate. I believe they communicate electrically, although I can't prove that. And I believe that they change their shape and their form as the organism learns. And I can't prove that either. But my imagination and my drawings and my art tell me that it's true. And the usual way this story ends is that the scientific establishment throws the upstart out of the room and he's never heard from again. But that didn't happen that day. He basically founded neuroscience that day. So the surgery that you see, the MRI scans, the electrical testing of the brain, EEGs, functional MRI, all begin with the work of an artist. So, if you're going to set a high bar for the text in your choice of cover, this is a pretty high bar.
Man, that's
amazing. That's a beautiful story in itself.
And let me just tell you one more thing, what these cells do. What they do is regulate muscle tone. You think, well, why is that important? Well, they inhibit your excessive motion. So if you want to pick up a cup of coffee and not throw it in your face, you need these cells. If you want the muscles of your eyes to track across a line of print, you need these cells. If you want to stand up or sit down, you need these cells. So they're conservative. All of the top, all of this superstructure is listening. It's like a biological GPS. And there's one single fiber that speaks, that tells the muscles to calm down. So in a lot of ways, it's an important cover, for me at least.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's such a beautiful explanation. Yeah.
Exactly.
That was worth it. I love it. That was great.
That takes
so
much
great.
time.
Yes.
No,
Yes,
I love it.
And I love the connectivity of your youth to your college, to your career, and then to producing this book is just phenomenal. It's very heartwarming, and I'm just enthralled to take a look at it and hear your stories.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The first 20 pages, just check out the first 20 pages.
So, Russell, did you have anything else to add?
Craig, what are you proudest about? What is the part of this book that you are proudest about?
I'm proud of our sons, although I can't say much about them in the book.
Because they edited it out.
Yeah. I'm proud of being part of a community. We didn't know that we would be part of a community when we came here in 1980. My wife, Mary, pointed out that the KKK was active about 30 miles east of here. But I'm proud that I've had a good journey as a citizen, as a dad, as a husband. I'm proud that I've done a good turn for some of my neighbors, here in eastern Kansas. And I'm delighted to have been able to have enough fertile time to write a story. All kinds of voices these days are telling us who we are and who our friends are, who our enemies are, what we can think. And this process has been a counterexample to that. This process has been, you can take your hard memories and get up close to them, get really close and really consider them. And when you do that, you get a little bit of freedom from them. You get to revisit Baldwin's talk about unconscious power of history. You start to become conscious of your past and conscious of the past. And then you get a little bit of freedom. And I'm proud to at least have seen the trailhead toward that steep ascent toward liberation. I'm proud of those things.
Thank you, Greg. Where can listeners find out more about you or contact you, etc.?
That's a good question. Steep has a website. It's very hard to remember. It's called CraigYorke.com. CraigYorke.com. And my cell phone number's there. I'm not hard to find. Topeka, Kansas.
I love it. I love that you have a website, because there's some authors we encounter that don't, or just have a book site. And so having a website, but I feel like just being so open to conversation, people contacting you, looking for, your book and stuff. I mean, that's how I am. I'm an open book. I mean, you can find me literally anywhere. Anywhere. Unless you're Russell. He tends to say I'm not very good at texting him back, which isn't true. I'm just not good with email. Emailing is difficult for my millennial self.
Yeah, I
mean,
you
guys.
It's 785-217-4180. And I'm happy with the website. I was hesitant, but it's been great. I mean, I've been surprised at how positive the response has been to this book. Really.
It sounds like a beautiful book. I mean, I was reading when Wes sent it to me, and I was reading just the description of it, and it's definitely a book that I want. 150 pages, I can do that. I can do that. So it's a book that I want to read, but it's a book I also just want to keep on my shelf to kind of pass down to my kids and everyone to kind of just have. I think it's a good book, and I like it's not. I like how you hand wrote it. I think that's important nowadays, like typing it and stuff, which I think is great if you're a big outliner and those things. But I hear from authors that write longhand, right? That there's just something nostalgic about doing that.
Well, there's that. Yeah. One thing, a lot of readers have seen Horatio Alger in this story. The steep is adjective, the steep climb. But to me, the verb's more interesting. How you steep yourself once you've had success. Anybody who reads David Brooks, the second mountain, not the first mountain of the credentials, but the second mountain of what kind of a person, what kind of a human are you?
James Baldwin wrote about that too.
He sure did. He sure did.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I love just your outlook on it and the outlook that feels like goes into the book. So I'm excited to get my copy. I was emailing Wes to get my copy, so I'm excited about it. But Craig, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to come talk to us about your book and share with us, your journey of getting to your book and having it published, and how you got into being a gifted violinist and just hanging out with us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. You're welcome back anytime. Well,
Oh, thank
everybody,
you.
we hope that you guys have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week, and a good Valentine's Day.
Amen.
And until next Monday, bye for now, everybody.